With the 200V F and P Vario special tractors, a lot has happened in the area of mounting space and hydraulics, and I will now go into this in more detail using the 200V as an example. At the beginning, we look at the front linkage. The Category 1 front linkage on the V and F, with a lifting capacity of 2,380 kilograms, is well known. Nothing has changed. The lower links are foldable. Underneath, we have an implement mounting plate when the lower links are removed without tools. This means that the implement can be mounted closer to the tractor, and thus you have a better weight distribution. A new feature is that we now have an external actuation and can therefore operate the front linkage from the outside, making it easier to attach implements or weights. With the 200P, we have the well-known Category 2 front power lift with a lifting capacity of 2,540 kilograms. There are now 3 new variants: the front power lift, as we know it so far, a front power lift with position control, and a front power lift with position and load relieving control. With the relieving control, we can set a constant contact pressure. This means that the implement always adapts optimally to the ground contour. Here in the rear, it looks also familiar at first. The V and F Vario are equipped with our proven swing power lift. With the same lifting forces as since then, and also with the hydraulic side and tilt adjustment. This means that the lower links can be swiveled to the left or right, and also the tilt can be adjusted, so that the implement can then be adjusted accordingly on slopes. New is that the tilt indicator is now digital, on the dashboard or on the terminal. This allows you to monitor exactly which positions the power lift is in. A completely new feature is the relieving control for the rear power lift. I told you earlier that the P has the function in the front. The V and F now have it completely new in the rear. Why do we offer it in the rear now? Often one drives with the tractor on a steep slope with the mulcher. Then, under bad conditions, you have the problem of not being able to climb the mountain. That means you have to lift the mulcher manually to get enough grip. On the other hand, you will not get an optimal result because the mulcher does not adapt to the ground contour anymore. With the relieving control, we've solved the problem. We set a relief pressure in the terminal. The implement has a very even support pressure, and weight is automatically transferred from the implement to the tractor. This gives me better traction, greater climbing ability, and always an optimum work result. Especially in the transition from slope to plane, I still have an optimal result because the mulcher then automatically adjusts downwards and mulches everything cleanly. I can operate the power lift externally, from left and right on both sides, so I can easily attach my implements. With the 200P, nothing has changed in the power lift. We have the same power lift as on the standard tractors. Of course, you can also operate it from the outside left and right. Here in the interaxle area, for example, you can fit equipment for mechanical weed control between the vines. Here we have made some improvements too. Here the exhaust pipe has been relayed. Since then, it has been laid here. Now you can get closer to the tractor with the implement and can therefore use mid-mounted implements in narrower row widths. The implement mounting plate at the bottom is the same as it has been since then, so that any implement you had on the previous tractor can be mounted again. What's also important here, in the interaxle area, are the hydraulic valves. On the left side, we have 2 valves, as we have had since then. The connections for these valves are now in an upright position, so that it's easier to access them to couple the devices. In the rear, we have the familiar 4 connections, as we have had since then. On the right side, there are now different variants. Without front linkage, we have a maximum of 4 valves on the right-hand side, just as today. Since then, if you have a front linkage, you have to connect it to an existing connection. That is no longer the case. The front power lift always gets its own valve, but I can choose additional control valves. For example, the version with the front power lift now has up to 5 valves on the right side, plus 2 on the left, which means 7 valves for working hydraulics, plus an extra valve for the front power lift. A completely new variant is also the Power Beyond on the right side. This means that the implement is supplied with the current demand directly from the pump, so that it always gets the optimum amount of oil. Therefore, we now have a completely new option. However, the delivery capacity has also improved. We still have 2 versions, the tandem pump with 75 liters as before, or the load sensing pump, which has had a delivery rate of 104 liters per minute since then, now with 119 liters per minute, which means another 15 liters more delivery volume available. We also always have a summation. We have 2 hydraulic circuits, which are now automatically summed up whenever necessary. However, I can also switch the summation off manually if I deliberately want to use 2 circuits, because I have, for example, a device that needs a high delivery rate and a device that needs a high pressure. In this way, I do not have to provide both at the same time, and I avoid reactive power. In this way, you can always respond optimally to the applications and use the system very efficiently.